It wasn't built to be beautiful, it wasn't built for tourists or drone photos. The Great Wall of China emerges from one thing only: fear. As you stand before these stones, one question inevitably arises. What compels an empire to construct a wall spanning thousands of kilometers? How many lives are you willing to sacrifice to keep an enemy at bay? Can a wall truly halt an invasion, or does it merely become the scar of something far greater? We call it the Great Wall of China, but that name falls short. It does not recount the hands that erected it, the bodies that never returned home, the freezing nights, invasions, fires, kings who feared the darkness and unseen enemies beyond the horizon. Before it became a tourist attraction, before the photos and organized journeys, this wall was a boundary between two worlds. On one side, cultivated fields, cities, roads, villages where life flowed slowly. On the other side, emptiness, endless steppes, fast riders like storms, people accustomed to appearing and vanishing into thin air, leaving behind only smoke and fear. For centuries in northern China, the same threat recurred incessantly. Sudden raids, burnt villages, stolen crops, emperors changed, dynasties rose and fell. But the terror of seeing a sea of horses and spears appear at any moment lingered, like an unforgettable nightmare. Initially, the solution was not a single wall. There were many smaller, more fragile walls of pressed earth, isolated forts, hastily built wooden stockades soon torn down. Each generation added a piece, each rebuilt its part, convinced it would forever vanquish the enemy. None succeeded truly. Then came an era when fear became a project. A man ascended with a fixed idea, to unify everything: rules, roads, weights, measures, and the walls too. The emperor, later known as the first to rule from a throne called China, looked north and saw one thing only: a feeble border full of holes. He resolved that these holes must vanish. From that moment, the wall ceased to be a jumble of barriers and began to transform into a unique entity. A line that must traverse mountains, deserts, rivers, valleys, no longer isolated walls but a single body of stone, bricks, and towers. A serpent that demanded sacrifices from millions to be born. The initial teams reached the mountain ridges. There was nothing, no roads, no homes, only rock, winter snow, unbearable summer heat. The orders were clear. Here a wall shall rise, soldiers shall pass, smoke signals, urgent messages. Here, where there is nothing today, someone will need to risk their life to fill the void. Men plucked from the fields, peasants who have never left their village, prisoners, soldiers, artisans, all swept towards the north like a human river. None of them knows if they will return, and many won't. But for those in power, the wall is more than just a barrier. It is a message, a way to show to the entire world and one's own people that the boundary of China is untouchable, that the empire may bend but will not break. What none of them can imagine is that centuries later, millions of people will walk on those stones, take photos, and make videos recounting this story with lightness, unaware that beneath every step there may be a name that has never been written anywhere. This is where our journey begins. Not with the perfect postcard of the wall at sunset, but with a very specific question. How much can the security of an empire cost in lives and fear? The construction site of the Great Wall emerges on the mountain ridges, in places where there was once nothing but rock and steep slopes. There are no machines, cranes, or roads. Stone blocks are dragged by hand, pushed up slopes, loaded into baskets on shoulders. Lines of men pass the weight back to back like a living chain. If one falls, they are injured, they rise, they resume working. Stopping is not an option. It would mean being replaced and forgotten. By day, work is a continuous rumble. Hammers, sharp blows on stone, shouted orders, heavy footsteps of those carrying materials. At night, silence envelopes everything again, broken only by the crackling of fires. Some think of the families left behind in the southern villages. Others gaze northward, fearing the arrival of steppe horsemen. The workforce comes from all corners. Requisitioned peasants, condemned prisoners, soldiers, artisans. The official explanation is simple: to build the wall to defend the empire. But there is more to it. A wall of this size is not just to keep out enemies. it also controls those inside. It regulates passages, goods, people's movements. It is a constant reminder of the throne's power. If the emperor can bend mountains, he can also bend the will of those who inhabit them. The higher the wall grows, the more its fragility also emerges. A wall can be tall, long, imposing, but it will never be taller than the fear of the one who erected it. Incursions from the north do not vanish just because the wall exists. Horsemen find breaches, take advantage of less defended sections, corrupt commanders. They use winter to cross frozen rivers. The wall slows, hinders, complicates their season. The wall slows, hinders, complicates life for invaders. But it is not a perfect shield. Along its path, watchtowers are erected at regular intervals. Each tower is a small, isolated garrison. Inside dwell soldiers who spend months or years far from everything, sleeping on hard boards, eating simple rice, enduring cold and loneliness. Their task is to observe, to watch the sky, to understand whether the weather will help or hinder any potential attack. To watch the plains, to catch the first sign of dust raised by distant horses. To watch the smoke, to read the signals coming from the other towers. The wall is not just stone, it is also a communication network. At strategic points, fires and flammable materials are prepared. A sudden fire can mean a sighting. 2 fires can indicate a greater danger. 3, a very serious threat. In a few minutes, the message can travel tens or hundreds of kilometers. News of an attack travels faster than any horse. A line of lights in the dark connects mountains and valleys, allowing the empire to react before the enemy truly reaches the cities. Over the centuries, dynasties change. Some sections of the wall are neglected and collapse. Others are reinforced, expanded, rebuilt with better techniques. Each era adds a layer. New towers, new materials, new paths on the ridges. In some periods, it is even a paradox. China is ruled by dynasties that actually descend from those steppe peoples that the wall was supposed to keep out. The wall that was built to repel them also ends up promoting their power. Later, with the rise of new dynasties, determined to regain control, the wall is redesigned. It is no longer just compressed earth or raw stones. Fired bricks are used, drainage systems are designed for rain, internal stairs to quickly move troops, positions suitable for firearms and cannons. In some sections, the wall transforms into a true fortified corridor, following the profile of the mountains as if it were a natural extension of them. From above, the wall descends and rises, twists and reappears among hills and fog. At its feet, fields, villages, markets. Further north, the horizon of the steppes. For the population living near the border, the wall is at the same time protection, hardship, and mystery. It is the line beyond which a different world is imagined, inhabited by peoples considered dangerous, but also essential for trade and exchanges. Over time, a belief arises that still circulates today. The wall would literally be built upon the bones of those who worked on it. It is not a historical certainty in every section, but it describes well the perception that the Chinese themselves had of its human cost. For many, that wall is made not only of stone but also of lives. Whoever walks upon it now often does not think about all of this. Yet every block tells the tale of combined efforts, commands, fears, and sacrifices, political decisions and broken personal destinies. For centuries, the Great Wall has primarily been a border of labor and war. Then the world began to view it as a symbol. Explorers, travelers, photographers, films, documentaries, all have played a role in turning it into a legend. And with the legend came a phrase repeated everywhere. The Great Wall would be the only human-made work visible from space with the naked eye. Sounds great. Too bad it's not quite true. From Earth's orbit without tools, the wall is thin, blending amid mountains, roads, rivers, fields. It is not a bright line crossing Asia. It is a difficult-to-distinguish scar in the landscape. But it's not in space where its true power strikes. Its power is on the ground. Today, in some spots, it's crowded with tourists, guides with flags, school groups, couples stopping to take photos, individuals gasping as they ascend steep steps to say, "I've been here too." In other stretches, far from restored paths, the wall has nearly vanished. Fallen stones, half-open towers, grass reclaiming everything. For those who built it, it was toil, orders, winter, fear of nights beyond the horizon. For us today, it's a simple question. How did they manage to erect all of this? The Great Wall did not halt all wars, did not prevent all invasions, but it outlasted the kings who desired it, the armies that traversed it, the peoples who should have feared it. If you see it one day in person, try a simple thing. Pause for a moment. Stop looking at your phone and raise your gaze. That person getting lost among the hills is the sum of fears, ambitions, sacrifices, and work of millions of individuals whose names we'll never know. If this story has made you see the Great Wall with different eyes,